through our networks, and I've already mentioned, I know they're going to be talked about tomorrow, so I'm not going to have time to develop them now, but certainly our Justice, Peace, Integrity of Creation network, the development of our presence, and Sister Rita is here tonight, at the United Nations, through our in association with the Department of Public Information at the United Nations. This has been and continues to be a challenge to us to develop our global voice. One of the new ways we've been deeply enriched through networking is the RSHM extended family. And I am honored and happy to see that one active member is responding to me tonight. So this is something which is in many parts of our institute, and it is a source of life for us as people share our mission. Sometimes collaboration faces new challenges, and there are many other groups with which we interact with other, for example, a project of religious at universal level, UISG and USG level, for solidarity with Southern Sudan project, the Africa-Europe Faith and Justice Network, Africa Faith Justice Network, etc. Certainly working collaboratively with others is one of the ways that we are called to transcend boundaries and harness the energies of love in solidarity and hope. A word about another big challenge, climate change and sustainability. But I think the discoveries over these last 40 years about the universe, the evolving nature of our cosmos, it challenges us to see ourselves and all of creation in new ways. And as RSHM, we have recognized the need to enlarge the tent of our understanding of the cosmos, of God, of life. And in so doing, we are coming to new intuitions about our mission as RSHM. The new story must incorporate the discoveries of modern science. As Elizabeth Johnson says so beautifully, when seen with eyes of faith, this new knowledge is brimming with insights about creation and its maker. The new cosmology stretches our concept of life and provides new insights that challenge us in living our charism and mission. As part of this, the interconnected web of life, we are being called to develop a deeper experience of solidarity with our fellow humans and with all of creation. And of course, climate change, science, and experience around the globe also challenges us to be creatively engaged and disturbed by global environmental degradation and the demands of ecological justice. That is along the road as I traveled from Zambia to Zimbabwe. Our concern for the integrity of creation leads us to live frugally and gratefully, so as to promote and defend the well-being of our planet in all its diversity, and to advocate for policies that protect it. And particularly, and I think Dennis Edwards, the Australian theologian, puts this very strongly when he notes that climate change and aspects of our ecological crisis aggravate the social and economic inequity between rich and poor in our global community. To contribute to this destruction of lives, homes, livelihoods, and communities is not only a sin against the weak and unprotected, but also against the earth, God's gift of life. And so we need that depth, critical thinking, imagination. They're vital to the ways in which we work for justice in stewardship of the earth's resources. And I applaud the priority that you give to this topic in your course offerings and in the deliberate choices made about greening the university. But maybe we could ask, in what other ways can you use advocacy to influence corporations in transformative ways? How can you address and engage people in the challenges of sustainability, Rio +20, so that all may have life. And finally, the third aspect, and this will be brief. I'm sorry, I think my time is up. But research, learned ministry. Research that makes a difference in our world and transcending the boundary of exclusiveness. In speaking of learned ministry and the role of university and research, Father Nicolas drew attention to the new inequalities created by globalization in terms of those who enjoy the power given to them by knowledge, and knowledge gives people power, and those who are excluded from its benefits because they have no access to that knowledge. Thus, I think we need to ask, who benefits from the knowledge produced in our institutions and who does not? Who needs the knowledge that LMU can share? And how can it be shared more effectively with those for whom that knowledge can truly make a difference for life, especially the poor and the excluded? And here I'm going to just share a few examples from Zambia. Living in Zambia at this time, I am daily confronted with images of exclusion. All of them are grounded in poverty and in a global economic system that, since prior to and during colonial times, has tended to favor the northern and western model of global capitalism. According to the Jesuit Center of Theological Reflection, this was very recently the employment situation in Zambia. So as we look, we see that a vast percentage of the labor force is in the informal sector. A tiny fraction, 4% of the total picture, the population, is actually involved in the formal sector. So what does this mean? This means that although there are elegant Western-style shopping centers are multiplying in the capital at the moment, only a few streets away, thousands of vendors sell identical wares at makeshift tables of broken timber and plastic, shelters. Piles of what they call salaula, which is second-hand clothes. Imported from all around the world, are sold often along, that wasn't muddy the day I took that picture, but there are many that are far muddier. And perhaps even more frightening, there is an invasion of plastic sachets of very potent spirits, 45% proof. Gin, rum, whiskey, brandy, sold in affordable packages by companies that we are trying to trace, that are sold for the price of 2 hard candies. Wow. Linked to this are many of the other social problems of Zambia. And although HIV and AIDS infection in Zambia are down to 16% of the population from 20%, the burgeoning consequences of a 30-year battle lives on. In the large number of orphans and vulnerable children left with burdened grandmothers or aunts or elder siblings. In the lack of earnings to support their schooling, which often leads them to dropping out sometimes after preschool or 1 or 2 years of schooling. In the burgeoning factors which repeat this cycle of vulnerability to abuse and infection. Just a postscript on this image. There was a very effective exhibition of artwork about the HIV and AIDS issue put on in the soccer, and these were some of the images produced. And yet, in Zambia, there are other wonderful resources. Peace, a hard-working and peace-loving population that could change presidents without any significant violence. now a Catholic president, a new government set on reversing corruption and addressing poverty. But if we are to work towards a globalization of solidarity and hope, there has to be a way in which this, and I don't mean just in Zambia, but that this matters even in Los Angeles. Globalization has created new inequalities between those who enjoy the power given to them by knowledge and those excluded from them. Commitment, creativity, and imagination are needed to find alternative models of economic progress that do not lead to widening exclusion and inequality. Research, as we know, often follows funding, and rather than centering on the areas of greatest need in our unequal world. So it leads us, we might say, what choices can learning communities such as LMU make that model an alternative approach where research is determined by need, where access to knowledge, adequate health care, access to treatment for those living with AIDS or HIV positive is globalized. Where our faith is lived and our charism is rooted in life for all, our zeal and passion is grounded in a depth of vision and imagination, opportunities abound for making a difference. And as RSHM, we are more and more finding we need and want to collaborate with others. And whether it is in lay leadership or working with AIDS and vulnerable children in hospices in Africa, scarce resources can be multiplied if we build on the firm roots of our charism, engage in effective networking to respond to the frontier challenges that are global in character. And my conclusion. In her address, exactly almost a year ago, our General Superior, Sister Teresinha Sekin, spoke of the challenges and opportunities of working together to nurture hope in a world that so desperately needs us. And she said, the same fire that burned in the heart of our founder is in our day the passion for God and for humanity that moves us to a future full of hope in a troubled world by crossing boundaries and building bridges. Father Nicolas has spoken of the certain refounding of Jesuit and Jesuit co-sponsored universities in light of the founding vision. And certainly this centenary year is a Kairos moment to explore the depth and richness of your roots and the breadth and height of the wings that help to transcend boundaries and can work towards realizing the dream. I've tried to share a reflection on this through the lens of our RSHM charism and mission. But it is certainly you who will explore the depth of what your mission statement expresses so well and so effectively. 75 years ago, a Jesuit scientist, theologian, mystic, and scholar envisioned a time when we would experience global oneness and planetary unity, and in words that have been a source of inspiration to many, and which still inspire and even empower us today, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin wrote, and we end with this, that someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love, and then, for a second time in the history of the world, we shall have discovered fire. Thank you.